I knew there was a reason I washed my hair today. We have a special guest in studio.
With us now is our 4th District Congressman Ron Estes. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning. Pleasure to have you with us here in the studio.
Well, it's great. It's great to be here. And, you know, I believe in the philosophy that you need to wash your hair once a week, whether it needs it or not, right?
That's a good policy. I like that.
Ron, I want to ask you, we haven't seen a whole lot of media coverage on this, but in Lowell, Indiana recently, an illegal alien who re-entered illegally under the Biden-Harris administration stabbed a 14-year-old girl. This is just the most recent incident we've seen of this. Stabbed her with a butcher knife at her brother's baseball game. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have yet to even comment on this incident, but they have gone around and said that the border is secure. I'm just curious, are they just unconnected? Are they disconnected? Or are they just delusional or just trying to cover this up?
Yeah. I think it's a political power play in terms of what they're trying to talk about. They want to divert from the truth. And, President Biden has the authority under the laws that exist today to have a secure border. President Trump used those exact same laws, whether it's dealing with parole on a case-by-case basis, which was what it was intended to,
right, versus
what President Biden set up as anybody from Cuba or Venezuela or Haiti automatically gets parole, which is wrong. And you see instant after incidents of these horrible attacks, murders. Lake and Riley and others have been in the news over the years, and it's because the border has not been allowed to be secure and protect the country. I mean, we've had over 10 million people cross the border illegally, and when I say that, I mean 200 yards from a legal entry point, people are crossing the border in Eagle Pass, Texas. And that's just time and time again, that's the process that's being followed to allow all these people to come into the country illegally. I mean, we're a country of immigrants, and we will continue to have more immigrants coming to the country legally than any other country in the world. And we need to make sure that we have a process and processes that make legal immigration more easily obtainable and makes illegal immigration harder.
I think the economy and immigration are clearly the two main issues that I hear when I'm out door knocking. I know you're up for re-election. You hear it when you're out talking to voters. Lawmakers have until September 30th to pass legislation to prevent another funding lapse. Speaker Johnson has promised that the proof of citizenship voting bill will be included in any House budget deal. This relates to immigration as well. Are you confident that will be included in any final compromise legislation, despite the fact that Senate President Schumer is adamantly opposed? Joe Biden has said he will veto it. What are your thoughts on that? How likely is that to finally be included?
Well, it's something worth fighting for. I mean, as we talk, as you mentioned, inflation and rising prices are so bad, and most of that's driven off of the excessive government spending, how much more we're spending than what's coming in the tax revenue. And tax revenues are coming in higher than they have ever before and continue to grow. But it's the spending that's growing at a higher rate. So we've got to do something about spending through that process. It's really tough to get that focus because for decades, literally, it's been easier to say, well, we'll just keep the government open and we'll spend more money on your pet project and your pet project, and as a result, I mean, we're borrowing $1 out of $4 that we spend today. The federal government spends today, and that's just it's irrational to be at that stage. And so we've got to make some tough decisions on spending. But as you talk about it and talk about this issue with the border security, and when we do polling. Our most recent polling had border security 1 and inflation and rising prices 2. So obviously there's a lot of concern amongst Americans, and particularly Kansans, where we did the survey around security as well as the cost and the impact. So we're going to work through the House and pass a continuing resolution because we won't get all spending bills done because there's still too many people that want to say, I'm not going to vote for it unless they get their pet project on it.
Right.
And so this continuing resolution will keep spending into first of the year and putting the SAVE Act on it, which is actually requires some of those steps to actually help states purge their rolls of illegal immigrants who may have been registered to vote, and give them some of the resources and access to some of the federal databases so that they can do that job efficiently. The law's there now. Illegals aren't supposed to vote, but they have been registered with all the blanket voter registration policies that have been in place. Some of them to make it simpler. Some of them were some politically driven ones. But we need to make sure that every legal citizen is able to vote, and that people that aren't allowed to vote shouldn't be voting.
Kansas Congressman Ron Estes live with us in studio this morning. Within the last month, we had that story about the government issuing a glowing report, all these 800,000 new jobs added, and then really, that was way overestimate. That's not true. So can you put that into context for us? What's going on there?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, one of the things that the government reports a lot of statistics, and in order to be timely on a lot of that, they do a quick report at the end of each month, and then they come back and get more in-depth data. And so what we've seen is over the last year, over 800,000 jobs that had been reported on a month-to-month basis weren't really created through that process. I think that shows a couple things. I think it shows the data collection and reporting processes need to be tweaked a little bit in terms of, in a lot of ways, but also it's a little bit of a concern on the economy. When you look at, we're seeing now a lot of people that are running up the credit card charges, paying for groceries and the things you use on a daily basis. Yeah. And we're seeing defaults go up on credit cards and car payments. So that's a concern as well when you look at reporting numbers like that and you see the potential impact on the economy.
Will you be hitting the Kansas State Fair pretty hard?
Yeah, we're actually going there tomorrow.
Hey, all right.
It's today's opening day at the Kansas State Fair, and we're looking forward to getting out there tomorrow.
Fantastic. And that's where you get to meet a nice cross-section of Kansans.
That's right. A lot of people and businesses as well. And then all the booths that get set up to showcase different products or different ceremony or different awards, things that have grown, and see the world's largest pumpkin, or at least Kansas' largest pumpkin, and largest watermelon. Those are always interesting as well.
Ron, I know we've got to let you run, but I do want to ask you one quick question. This is an issue that's come up in the presidential debate. I'm sure it's going to come up. It's a campaign issue, but the expiration of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Kamala Harris is saying that she wants it to expire so she can turn around and try and give more tax cuts. But you and I both know that if that expires, it's a tax increase on all Kansans, on all citizens, because the tax cut that you passed cut taxes for everybody. How bad will it be if Congress, if Kamala Harris and Joe Biden allow that to expire?
That's really a very terrible approach to take. I mean, when we passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it was intended to help get the economy growing, and it worked. I mean, we saw in 2018 we saw a slight dip in tax receipts at the federal level, which is what's expected. But then we saw an increase from there on out over projections because the economy was growing. And now we're seeing, as some of those provisions that were set up as temporary are now expiring, we're seeing an impact. I mean, I was with a manufacturing company yesterday, and they were talking about how they were impacted because the research and development tax expired 2 years ago, and the impact on them where they don't have the cash to make the investment now because they've had to pay taxes. So they're slowing down their expansions and their ability to actually continue to grow the business. And so it's so important for us. I'm leading one of the tax teams. I'm chairing the innovation tax team. Help focus on how do we keep good research and development ideas developed in the United States and keep the United States competing against the world. I mean, we've invented everything from air conditioners to zippers, and we need to make sure that we have good innovation in America and allow the economy to grow. It would be over $2,000, about $2,200 average tax increase on Kansans if these provisions are allowed to expire. So we really need to renew and extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Ron, I appreciate you as always joining us this morning. If folks want to connect with you, if they want to just stay in touch and get more information from you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
The easiest way to do that's on our website, estes.house.gov. That's our website, official website, that you can keep up with things that are going on.
Appreciate you as always, my friend. And you're going to be at the Pachyderm today here in just a few hours.
That's
Pachyderm
right.
Club.
That's right. I'm speaking today at the Pachyderm, just kind of talking a little bit about what's going on in D.C. and what do we look at for the rest of the year.
Is there any truth to the rumor that the butter sculpture at the state fair this year is you?
I can't answer every question that you ask, but as far as I know, that's not true.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll find out when the gates open today. All right, Congressman Estes, thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend.
All right, thank you.